Good evening, everybody. This is Stephen Howson, and this is my review of Manchester United 3, Shrewsbury Town 0. So, are we going to get carried away by beating a League One side 3-0? No, we are not. But it is nice to at least celebrate a win. And I don't get some of the people that as soon as we win, as soon as a couple of people are happy that the club that we love and follow and support gets a victory, their instant default is to just go against that and be like, oh, it's only fucking Shrewsbury. Well, it was only Midtjylland, wasn't it? And it's only all the other teams that have managed to beat us this season. So just be fucking happy for once that we've got a win. Christ on a bike. I just simply don't understand the mentality of people who claim to support a football club and then seemingly hate every single positive thing about that football club. But either way, there were some phenomenal performances tonight. Actually, no, draw. I'm going to reel that back a little bit. Phenomenal's a bit giddy, isn't it? There were some good performances tonight. We have to consider the opposition, but we also have to consider that it's just 11 men against 11 men. It's not like you're playing 11 against 7 or something like that, is it? Regardless of where they are, they're still professional footballers, and tonight we did a good job. I thought Varela in the first half especially was great, showing what I've wanted to see from him and what I see in the under-21s for him, where he's just so positive all the time. He's really trying to force things happening down that wing, and if I've got one criticism of Jesse Lingard is that he doesn't take on a man enough for me, because he is a quick player, he's got great agility, and I think he could really scare people, probably draw a lot of fouls if he decided to start going past people, because he's got really quick feet. And then it's going to leave the defender in two minds, because far too often Jesse Lingard does like to cut inside or play it back on the inside. And with Varela bombing down, who can put a real good cross in, we've seen several times now, where he gets to the byline and whips a really nice cross in. I think that's a real positive outlet on the right-hand side, which takes us nicely to the left-hand side, where first half Cameron Borthwick-Jackson did what he's been doing and has been such a consistent, almost flawless performer since he stepped up into the first team for Manchester United. Louis van Gaal in his press conference after the game said that he's picked up an injury, so it looks like Joe Riley could be starting. And Joe Riley, when he came on, I've been hot on Joe Riley for a couple of years. Watched his progress and thought he's a really tidy, neat player. But the last few weeks, his attitude and his determination have levelled up, and they've levelled his ability up, because his attitude has just burst him out of this little tidy box, and now he finds himself into the first team purely on merit, and the merit of his determination and graft. And sometimes that is what we need in a player, and he's got a bit of an edge to him as well, which I think we need. I said in my preview for the Shrewsbury game, we've been playing far too nice, and I would love to see Joe Riley come in. Now, it wasn't the right sort of game. I think you really need a real 50-50 sort of game where Joe's going to really get stuck into that, and I'm not sure Midtjylland is going to be that game either. Maybe if he keeps his place for the Arsenal game, you might actually really see Joe Riley and what he's capable of doing and what he's going to bring to a team. Because I think when you've got overwhelming possession, his sort of player doesn't really get it or doesn't really get into the game in the way that he would like. That's why I like Cameron Borthwick-Jackson. I think he offers us something more going forward, and that's where we've been lacking. Joe's going to be great, making sure nothing comes down that left-hand side. And he'll be fine against the counter-attacks that we are inevitably going to face on Thursday night. But I would like to see him against Arsenal when he's actually really put under pressure. Whoever Arsenal play on that right-hand side is going to be a really good footballer, and that is the real acid test of him. And I think he's up to it. And I think he's going to shock whoever he plays against if he manages to get a start. If Borthwick-Jackson's injured, I think he's an absolute shoo-in for it, and I'm delighted for him. I can't tell you enough how happy I am that Joe's managed to get this opportunity. He really deserves it. On the left-hand side up the top, we had Memphis, who had a decent game. He started to play with confidence, didn't he? He had a couple of just ridiculous shots early on, but I'm glad that he's taking those opportunities, because you have to shoot, don't you? You can't just not shoot and have every shot be perfect. Sometimes you just have to hit it, and sometimes they fly in. We see it happen all the time. So if Memphis can just continue building back his confidence, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 1 or 2 games, and it just needs to be dripped back in. And I think if he can just maintain that sort of trajectory towards the end of the season, he'll be fine, and he'll have recaptured the player that we wanted to see. In midfield, I thought Herrera and Schneidlin did all right. Nothing special. Schneidlin covered us from their counter-attacks, which were direct and fast, and he blocked them and shielded the defence nicely. I was a little bit disappointed that Herrera didn't manage to get a real stamp on the game, because you have to consider the level of opposition that was in midfield, and we was overrunning them at times, but it didn't seem like Herrera had this aura about him, did he? He just sort of, I don't want to say hid, because that's the wrong word, but he didn't really step up and dominate the game that you want a central midfielder to do. Like you imagine, regardless of the type of player that they are, Roy Keane, Norman Whiteside, Brian Robson, even Paul Scholes and Nicky Butt, just grabbing hold of this game and making sure we win. Herrera was a little bit on the periphery of that for me. He wasn't central, which is what you need as a central midfielder. I thought Juan Mata had some brilliantly deft touches, and halfway through the game I was thinking to myself, Mata's a phenomenal footballer with great ability, but he is, Mourinho was right, he is a luxury player, and not in the sense that he won't work hard for you. I think what he means is that you only get the best out of Juan Mata when your team's on top, and he's got options and he's got runners to feed. That's where you see the best Juan Mata. If you've got to dig in, I don't think Juan Mata's the sort of player that you need to be playing, which it's hard for me to say because it goes against the principles of how I like to see football being played. I like to think you go out there and you impose yourself on teams. I know that you also have to be wary of what other teams can bring to you, otherwise that's incredibly naive. But I like to see a team just go, here's how we're playing, how the fuck are you going to deal with it? Not like, oh, what we're going to do. And sometimes that gets exposed. I fully expect Arsene Wenger to take my philosophy into the game tomorrow. It's also his philosophy, it's not really my philosophy, is it? But the way I like to see football played, I think Wenger plays it in a similar way, where he's just going to go, here's how I play football, and he's probably going to get his arse handed to him by Barcelona as they just fucking run riot against them tomorrow. Up front, I thought Anthony Martial was fantastic and was really unlucky not to be on the score sheet. He did a brilliant defending job against Memphis's free kick, not sure if that was on target or not. He's shown some incredible skill, and he was marked 3-1 at times. His close control is fucking ridiculously good, isn't it? I mean, it's an absolute joy to watch, and I'm enjoying seeing him playing the number 9 because I see the way he's going to evolve as a footballer, and I think he's got the acceleration and the close control where he can turn and make things happen 12-14 yards out inside the box. I think that's where you're going to see the best of him, and I think that's where you're going to see goals start coming from him. He's not shy on pulling the trigger, and I think that's what we're hopefully going to see from him. Coming off the bench, Will Keane, just so unlucky. Regardless of how old he is, he's been just put back by the sheer weight of injuries that he is. So he might be 23, but he's still really like 18, 19 in terms of his development because of these injuries. And when we've only got the one fit striker at the club, this is his opportunity to be coming on and getting 20, 30 minutes. And he got the opportunity today. He was so unlucky not to bury it with the first touch of the game virtually that he had. And then he pops his groin out. I hope we're not going to see another Owen Hargreaves sort of career where an obvious talent is just denied the opportunity to play first team football because his body just will not allow him. And then finally, Andreas Pereira. Andreas Pereira did a world of good to his chances to getting into the first team when he came on. Constantly positive, always looking for the ball, trying that extra something as well. We saw Riley when he was in possession a couple of times do the safe thing, which is what you want from a defender. We see Lingard doing the safe thing, but more often than not, Pereira will try the risk. He will try the not safe thing. He will try the thing that's likely to take him past the man that's come to mark him, and the thing that opens up the gaps for him. And I think, I've said it a couple of times, he's bored at under 21 level and he needs to be challenged, otherwise he's not going to reach those heights. You have to force him to grow into this stature, and I think Thursday night, this is the perfect opportunity. Now, I think Van Gaal's going to have one eye on the Arsenal game because we can't be embarrassed like we was at the Emirates last time. So I think if you're going to do any sort of rotating, Pereira should be the first one that pops into that team. just because of the attacking outlet that he offers. And I do think we're going to go and try and win the game. We only need to win the game 1-0, don't we, because of the away goals rule. That will take us through. And I think we're more than capable of doing that. The problem is, can we keep a clean sheet? Against a team that's going to hit us on the counter with pace, we don't know. But tonight, let's just enjoy the win. We're not getting carried away from beating Shrewsbury. We're still looking at the next 2 games going, we could come away with a draw and a defeat in that quite easily. So we're not going to get too giddy. And what waits for us in the next round, West Ham are playing phenomenal. Maybe they're preoccupied with the league. Maybe they go, do you know what? This season might be ours for the cup, especially if they can tater a really poor United side at the moment. So we've just got difficult games coming left, right and centre, and the injuries don't seem to be improving now. They seem to be getting absolutely worse. So no one's getting carried away, but let's soak it up and enjoy the win. We've got a few days respite before we possibly have to start whinging about another defeat or going out of the cup against Midtjylland again, don't we? So let's just relax, enjoy the win, and we'll see you all on Thursday at Old Trafford for the Midtjylland game. Thank you for watching. Drop me a like if you don't mind. Stick it in the comments who you thought was a standout performer today. What you think about Riley, because I think that'll be the first time many of you have clapped eyes on him. Talk to me about Pereira. Is he ready? I think he is. Anything else that you want to talk to me about in the comments? I love reading the comments. I love replying to the comments. Let's get some discussion going if you want. Thank you for watching, as I said again. Please subscribe if you don't already. I've just hit 4,500, so now we're aiming at 5,000. We're nearly there. I'm fucking delighted with how fast these subscribers are going up. It tells me that I'm doing something right and gives me the motivation to keep doing a daily video. So again, thank you. See you soon.